I won the lottery and it ruined my relationship with my boyfriend and my family. I never thought winning the lottery would be anything other than a dream come true. But here I am, with more money than I ever imagined, and it feels like my life is falling apart. A few months ago, I bought a lottery ticket on a whim. I almost forgot about it until I saw the numbers on the news. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had won $600,000. At first, I was in shock. I called my boyfriend John and he rushed over, equally ecstatic. We were both over the moon, dreaming of what we could do with the money. But the dream quickly turned into a nightmare. It started with John. He began making plans for the money without really consulting me. He wanted to quit his job immediately, buy a luxury car, and invest in risky ventures. When I suggested we take things slow and maybe talk to a financial advisor, he got defensive. He accused me of not trusting him and said I was trying to control everything. Then my family got involved. My parents, who I've always had a strained relationship with, suddenly wanted to reconnect. They started dropping hints about their financial struggles and how they could use some help. My sister has always been jealous of me, outright demanded a share, saying she deserved it for all the time she supported me. It felt like they were all looking at me differently, like I was just a bank to them now. John became more distant and started spending a lot of time with his friends. He'd come home late, smelling of alcohol, and would argue about his spending habits and his new friends who seemed to only care about our money. The final straw came when he suggested we invest a large sum into a business venture his friend was starting. I said no, wanting to be cautious, and he exploded. He accused me of being selfish and not believing in him. The argument was so intense that he stormed out and didn't come back for days. During that time, my family's demands became more aggressive. My parents hinted that they were entitled to the money because they raised me. My sister called me greedy and accused me of abandoning my family. I felt trapped and overwhelmed, unable to make anyone happy. When John finally returned, we had a long, painful conversation. I realized that our relationship had become toxic, revolving around money rather than love and mutual respect. We decided to break up. He moved out, taking some money with him as a parting gift, and I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Now I'm alone with my fortune, but I've never felt poorer. My family is barely speaking to me, and I've lost someone I thought I'd spend my life with. I've hired a financial advisor and a therapist to help me navigate this new reality, but the emotional toll is immense. Winning the lottery was supposed to be a blessing, but it turned into a curse. I wish I could go back to the way things were before, when life was simpler and relationships were genuine. I just needed to get this off my chest. Now for the top comments. You got the blessing of realizing who the people in your life truly were. $600,000 is not something to sneeze at, but after all the inflation, it's not the life-changing kind of money it used to be. I wouldn't even call it a fortune anymore. Pay off some debts, treat yourself to something that isn't going to continuously drain your money. Nice houses and cars do this, as do subscriptions, and invest in yourself. I literally said out loud, quitting your job for $600K that isn't even yours? When taxes will take a large chunk of that. Not smart. He's definitely be one of those guys who goes bankrupt 3 years later. 3 years? You're being generous. Yep, I knew a guy who won $311,000 on a scratcher. He got about $150K take home. He blew it all in 8 months and had nothing to show for it. Not even a reliable car. I told him not to tell anyone. Think he listened? Nope. Told all sorts of people, and just like I predicted, they all had their hands out. Money changes things, often in ways we don't expect. It's a tough lesson, but now you know who truly has your back. Focus on protecting your mental health and finding real connections that aren't driven by money. I'm not sure what to do with the money in the first place. I'd love to put it in an S&P 500 or something similar, but it seems quite high at the moment. I will never buy luxury/sports cars or anything, but I'm not sure what to do with it, since I think I could lose $600,000 as easily as I got it. The S&P 500 always seems high. You should put it in an S&P 500 fund and forget about it until you are retirement age. You will have tens of millions. Also, stop telling people how much money you have. I think it's a double win. You can tell your family to get lost and found out about your partner's true colors. I would be so happy. Take a trip to somewhere you always wish to go. Have fun. Enjoy your life as it is now. I mean, I guess that would be lovely. I'll ask some friends if they want to join me in my adventure. Thank you. Please talk to a financial advisor first. I'm not saying don't enjoy the money and take a trip, but get a handle on the whole financial picture, including investment plans, before spending a bunch. Also, I'm guessing since you already gave your boyfriend a chunk of money, and considering his entitlement, I give it a very short amount of time before he is back saying he spent it all and you owe him. Please do not fall for that. If you think you can't help yourself, then get that money invested after talking to a financial advisor and tell him it is tied up, and Bank of Moose is forever close to him. Next story. I'm ruining the family vacation because my parents won't pay for me. I've been trying to help my mom over the past few months plan a family trip. Throughout this process, my mom told me that she and my dad probably couldn't afford to pay for all of us to go. Mom, dad, brother, me, and boyfriend, which is fine. I told her she shouldn't be expected to do that since we're all adults with adult jobs and could pay for our flight and share of the lodging. Obviously, she was receptive to that. So fast forward to today, and we're about to book the flights and travel. So we're on the phone talking through how much everyone's flight was going to be. Since I hadn't talked to my brother personally, I asked if he was cool with how much the tickets were. Her demeanor immediately changed to nervous laughter, and she said that he didn't offer to pay, and so they were going to pay for him. And just because we offered doesn't mean he has to pay. For additional context, my brother is a civil engineering consultant, and he makes really good money. If I am being honest, I sort of suspected this, so I wasn't super surprised. However, I played it cool and said, "Oh, didn't realize he wasn't going to be paying for his portion." Predictably, my mom and dad launched into this defensive ramble. "Well, it's your fault you offered. We were going to pay for you until you offered." A lie. They also said I was acting entitled to their money, which is a recurring bit for them anytime money comes up. There's a lot of nuance to that, but suffice it is to say, they've always been very hard and financially strict on me, but very easy on and spoil the crap out of my brother. Anyway, they know this bit ticks me off, and they succeeded yet again. But this time, I just felt something snap in me. So I just told them if that's the way they feel about it, then maybe we should just call it off. And I don't want to be around people who think I'm just trying to mooch off them. Then I just hung up. Now they're texting that I'm selfishly ruining the vacation because I'm jealous and are calling me entitled. Maybe I am entitled. Maybe my parents just like my brother better. I don't know which is more true, but I'm a little glad I'm ruining the family vacation. Let them go have their vacation. You and your boyfriend spend the money you would have and take a vacation you both will enjoy. Lol, the thing is, they all fight with each other on vacation. It's so crazy. I was just going to go to be part of the family, but I don't think I will be doing that this time. How miserable is your family? What's the point of even going on vacay to argue? Just stay home and do it for free. LMAO. I'm sorry your parents suck. You deserve better ones. Well done for standing up for yourself. I would continue to ignore their guilt and go on a holiday that is about you and your boyfriend with no arguments. But remember, they spoil your brother. But when the chips are down, the chances of your brother taking time to help them out are slim. You and you alone will be expected to step up and sacrifice for them. Maybe now is a good time to think about what you want for this relationship going forward. It is absolutely alright to take massive steps backwards and not engage if that is what you want. Never let anyone guilt you into anything that you don't want to do. But remember, they spoil your brother. But when the chips are down, the chances of your brother taking time to help them out are slim. You and you alone will be expected to step up and sacrifice for them. This is so freaking real, you have no idea. They have even said as much. My mom's brother was the favorite of my grandparents too. He never got in trouble when he did dumb things, but my mom was grounded for 2 years for getting an attitude with my grandmother. He got away with everything and was constantly rewarded, even after he tried to end my mother. In the end though, he ran off with a rich woman, got married, and completely ignored our side of the family, even when my grandmother was dying. My mom ended up being the one taking care of her until her death, which took a huge toll on her and her health. My uncle wouldn't even give my mom one day off and care for her himself, and we couldn't afford to hire a nurse. It was hell for my mom, and my uncle didn't even go to her funeral. Don't let that happen to you. If you're able to do so, you need to put your foot down right now and tell them in advance that you see how you're treated compared to your brother. You see who they obviously love more, and because of that, he will be the one taking care of them as they age. You have to let them know not to expect you to take care of them. They chose their favorite child a long time ago, and they're going to live with that choice for the rest of their lives. I see what this exact situation did to my mom after she was made to care for my grandparents until their death. She's still not okay, and it's been 8 years. Don't let that happen to you. Tell them now. Last story. Got kicked out and now my family wants me to come back. 21 male here. I got kicked out of my mother's house end of August and left on rather bad terms. I have not exchanged a single word with my mother since then. For context, I have a full-time job since graduating a few months ago. My mother is a single parent and I am an only child. So since I was 11, it's pretty much just been us two in the house, with grandparents visiting every now and then. Though not a psychologist, I'd say she is a textbook case of narcissistic personality disorder with some bipolar disorder thrown in the mix. Though good luck to anyone who tries to convince her to get clinically evaluated. Honestly, I can't even blame my father leaving her. I remember as a little kid always feeling sorry for him as she threw things at him and around the house, while screaming so hard she shook. I just wish I chose to leave with him. I didn't because he always worked overseas, and I was unfamiliar with him at the time of their divorce. Once he left, all of that became targeted at me. I'd frequently get kicked out of the house for a night at a time, and come back in the next day to her acting as if nothing ever happened, and things seemingly returning to normal. If I didn't leave, she'd try breaking down the door of whichever room I was in. There are barely any doors left in the house that don't have holes from her shoulders slamming into them. She got physical with me, shoving, hitting, brandishing knives, until I started fighting back once when I became physically strong enough. She'd do this all while screaming that I was a mistake. I was the reason for her cancer due to the stress I caused her, etc. After leaving for college and coming back, it all started over again. I put up with her abuse until one day I kind of just decided I'd had enough and packed all of my things and left. I have since cut contact with her, and my extended family have been telling me to move back in with her as she doesn't have anyone else. Damn if that's my problem. I told them they weren't there to see how she treated me. I told them that I would consider going back if she ever apologized, and I can rest easy knowing that's something she'll never do. For the first time other than leaving for college, I feel like so much weight has been freed up. I'm renting an apartment with a few close friends, and going out with them after work is quickly starting to become some of my favorite memories. My only regret is the effect this is having on my grandparents. They seem heartbroken that I've left, and the fact that their daughter is living alone. She can live in with your grandparents. They can take your place as they seem to be so okay with that life. Please let them know how happy you are for them bringing her back into their fold. The grandparents are also implying that the mother's happiness is more important than OP's, which it isn't. He doesn't have to sacrifice his happiness and well-being in order to make his mother and grandparents happy. What gets me is that she is really horrible to my grandparents as well. They don't speak English and often need help with running errands, and she always brushes them off and berates them for being useless when they visit. So they've been coming less and less. So I guess I resent them too, for knowing how she is and still wanting me to make up with her. Like, why do I have to be the one to reach out to her and make things right after she kicked me out? Kudos to you for pulling the trigger, man. These types of people need to hit rock bottom before pulling themselves up, and nothing can be solved until they realize what a horrible parent/partner/daughter they are. Thank you for your kind words. There's a reason she has not been able to find another partner for sure. She'll even get mad at whoever she's dating if they want to visit their kids from a previous marriage. I think I just finally realized that she needs me more than I need her, and I'm fine with letting her struggle on her own now. Their relationship from now on needs to be on your terms, and you're absolutely okay to keep that boundary, no matter who says what. Honestly, an apology isn't going to heal narcissism and BPD. I wouldn't suggest you return regardless. It's not a safe or healthy environment for you, especially since you're probably barely into your own healing journey. I think the fact you're considering going back with her if there's an apology is evidence you're absolutely not ready to re-engage in a relationship. This really sucks, man. I can only imagine how much it sucks. I wish you all the best with love, peace, and healing. Thank you for the advice and kind words. I think I would definitely make her going to therapy a condition of any chance of reconnecting. Perhaps stupidly though, I'm still afraid to bring it up because I know she'll get super angry at the idea, which doesn't even make sense because I'm out of there and she can't hurt me anymore. I think I'm just so used to trying to not set her off that it's still difficult for me to try and have these types of conversations with her. I actually realized somewhat early on in high school that my own personality was becoming similar to hers. I lost a lot of friends over it and even a relationship. So that was definitely a wake-up call for me. And I think that's the point where I realized that my mother's approach to life was the wrong one. It's been difficult trying to become my own person, but I like who I am now. At the end of the day, I think one day I would still like to be on good terms with her, as she is my mother, and the person she is when she's not having an episode is quite fun to be around, but not at the expense of myself.